the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Been covering and worrying about Tennessee football. But now that you've had a couple days to let it sit in here, Caleb, what's been the most interesting part to you, or maybe even just the most surprising part of the Nico Iamaleava split from the University of Tennessee?
The most interesting part is really probably just the entire thing, because Thursday, you mentioned it started Thursday. It started late Thursday. Articles got posted midday, I guess, later in the afternoon, started to roll, and then the article, which was the article that everyone had this like note, like a little footnote at the end that said, Nico's happy at Tennessee. I'm paraphrasing, but Nico's happy at Tennessee. This is just a renegotiation. So everything unfolds. I mean, less than 48 hours later, he's gone. I mean, just vanishes, flying out of Nashville, apparently. Can't even fly to McGee Tyson. It's craziness. So for all of it to unfold quickly is just interesting. The dad sending the tweet that I'd be calling it false, just flat out false, not showing up, going completely dark for them saying because of social media, which is crazy. I don't know. It all baffles me. And then, I mean, I'm not trying to critique a 20-year-old. I'm not trying to, but at the end of the day, in my opinion, and I think what we're seeing now in a lot of people's opinion, you aren't worth the 2.4 you were making. Yet his agent, his team, his dad was saying he was worth a fair market value of $4 million, which is, everyone wants to say fair market value. In this world, this NIL world, again, where we're just calling everything NIL, every number is essentially made up. I mean, Carson Beck got $4 million. That doesn't mean every starting quarterback deserves $4 million. And you were getting paid handsomely. I don't know what warranted 1.6 more. I don't see it.
Oof. Man, it's just one of those where, again, I have been like on this program and talking to different people. Like, I'm not putting any of this on Nico. Like, Nico, the individual. I can't do that. 19, 20-year-old kid. And I'm like, I just think this all requires a lot of nuance. And the people around him, I think, failed Nico over this past week. I think he got bad advice. I think I think Nico was happy. Like, that report of like Nico enjoyed his time in Tennessee. I think Nico was happy playing football for the University of Tennessee is my gut. And I just feel bad for him, because now it just feels like every new report of like, well, UNC's out, USC's out, Notre Dame's out. And I don't know. I just feel bad for the kid, the situation that he's in. And I don't know. That's that I'll continue to maintain that in terms of Nico specifically. Because it's also like when people are like, oh, he's an adult. It's like, well, yeah, but you remember when you were a sophomore in college? Yeah. It's like, yeah, you're quote unquote an adult, but you still go to your parents for like guidance and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And like, if I was in that situation with my dad, like, it's just, I don't know. I always lean towards empathy and nuance with this kind of stuff, and I just think it's so complicated. And I also just think it's bigger than Nico in Tennessee. I just think this is still something that, like, the spring portal window's got to go, because this is not a problem. The spring portal window does not exist. Sure. Because then you just look at it in December of like, hey, if you think you're worth $4 million, we can't do 4, but if that's what it's like you're looking at, then we've got to depart ways, and we're going to go in the portal and get somebody else who fits our budget better. And that's,
I think that you're right. It's super nuanced, and to an extent, I agree with you. Like, it's not on Nico, and unfortunately, at the end of the day, it falls to him, because this is ultimately going to affect his life, far more than it's going to affect his dad's life, because it's his name. Like, as much as like there's Tennessee fans giving his father a hard time, like, it's Nico's name that's being blasted with all this news. It's Nico being told, we don't want you at North Carolina, because I'm sure the baggage that this story is carrying, if Tennessee talk bad about James Pierce, I can't imagine what they're saying about Nico, if that story's true. I mean, I just can't imagine about what that is being told about this camp. And so it's going to be hard to find a landing spot if it is truly as difficult as it seems to be to work with that team, the fact that no coach could get a hold of Nico on Friday through anyone is that is baffling. You're a starting quarterback for an SEC team. I mean, you're the de facto leader, and you're not at Friday morning meetings before, for all intents and purposes, a game. Like, you're preparing as a team for a game. I'm sure they tried to make it a game like Friday, and you're not there, and they don't know where you're at. And it's this is a lot like the Jalen Hurd situation, in my opinion. Jalen Hurd made a bad decision based on bad advice he got from his team. Awful advice. And he left somewhere where he was incredibly successful, and I think he would have continued to be successful because people gave him awful advice. And it affected him far more than it affected those people.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish him well. I hope it works out for him wherever it is. Yeah, I also just think Tennessee, I think people went a little bit too overboard in terms of Tennessee. I think we're going to learn this week how serious Josh Heupel is about if he's going to be a Kirby type guy, because you're getting all the publicity and all the good publicity, I should say, of Tennessee stood strong. Tennessee held to what they thought was a fair number. Tennessee did not acquiesce, whatever, to that number. The problem is Nico's still gone. It's not like you traded Nico for 3 first-round picks because you couldn't come to a contract. It's just that the thing is, you lost Nico for nothing, and you lost him in the spring window, not the winter window, where you could have gotten someone he got all those first-team reps, and you have no idea what you have in Jake Merklinger. George outplayed him on Saturday in the spring game, but who cares? It's just what can you really say about that? Right. But you can't go into next year with just 2 scholarship quarterbacks anyway. But the problem is now I just don't see a way around Heupel and the staff not going hard at a sitting power 4 starter. You're going to have to be a bad guy now because of what happened to you in terms of this Nico debacle. You don't get a mulligan. There are some people who are well, hey, we love Heupel right now, and that's all good. I'm still pro Heupel. My point though is the difference between being a good coach and an elite coach is moments like this, where it's are you going to take some arrows here if you go in and you go get Avery Johnson or something, a sitting power 4 coach? We're just throwing a name out here. I think he'd be awesome here. Avery Johnson would be my number 1 pick if you can get anybody out of the portal here. It'd be Avery Johnson. But if you go get somebody who's a sitting quarterback at a good power 4 program, you're going to get some serious blowback. You're going to get some negative press for this, even with the nuance of well, what were we supposed to do? Because we just lost our quarterback and we're trying to keep this. But you had a 9.5 over under for a reason. You were tied with the big 4 in the top of this conference.
Isn't it crazy?
The schedule's still nice. You still have to take care of this. It only went down to game without Nico.
Which I think I'm in the boat of, I think he improves I think he improves in year 2 at a good rate, but you lost a lot. I just think that's natural. Typically that's what's going to occur. If we're just I don't know. I
don't think progress is linear. Some guys do, some guys don't.
If we're using data points, he's going to improve. I don't know how much. That's the question.
Joe didn't get better. You could argue Joe was worse by from year 1 to year 3.
I think Joe got better. It just wasn't much better.
I don't know. Maybe.
I think year 1 would have gone. That injury was the best thing to happen to Joe Milton in Tennessee. There was not a lot of pretty.
But it was also very early in the year. It was week 1. Yeah. So
we played Bowling Green and Pitt, and Pitt was a good team, but they really just had a good offense. Their defense was a Pat Narduzzi coach defense, but other than that, nothing special.
Yeah, I just look at it in terms of Tennessee. They cannot use a mulligan year. You can't treat this that's what's gotten Hugh Freeze into trouble at Auburn. Is Hugh Freeze thought he had time, where he's I'm going to recruit and stack top 10 classes, and we're just going to get by with Peyton Thorne for 2 years. Here's the problem. You now have a losing record in 2 years at Auburn. You then just put all of your stock into Jackson Arnold here as a guy who got benched in the Tennessee game, Tennessee-Oklahoma. if you go 5-7 or 6-6 because you bet and gambled wrong on Jackson Arnold and being able to revitalize him, you're out. Like Hugh Freeze is not going to make it another 6-6, 5-7 year. And I think Heupel's built up so much goodwill here. But the problem is, like, you have to still take advantage of the schedule. You still have to take advantage of a top 10 scoring defense. You still have to take advantage of the great circumstance that you're walking into. Like, I just think you have to be both here. Like, I don't think you have a choice. I think you have to still push for a college football playoff berth. And I think it's fair for fans to still be like, that's the standard now. Like, if you want to be one of the big dogs here and we see ourselves as one of the big dogs in the SEC, guess what? We reload. We're bigger than just the quarterback, and we can... all the other factors are still in place to make this a really attractive spot for a transfer quarterback, but you have to move. You cannot look at like, let's just get through this year, 7-5, 8-4, whatever, and just slog through and let Jake go through his lumps and then cost him case. Like, you just can't do that. Like, you can't. It's a year-to-year sport now.
I agree with 99% of what you're saying. I think the nuance I would add to it is, from a program perspective, I respect what the tough decision Josh Heupel had to make to walk in on Saturday, probably decided it Friday afternoon after seeing the locker room. I mean, we saw the reactions from the players. They were not happy. The mending that relationship with Nico sounds like it was going to virtually be impossible. So to take away from the guy that you have put everything on, since he was a junior in high school, like, this is the chosen one. This is who we're getting. This is who's going to return us to prominence, and say, we're going to walk away because, I mean, that's the thing, is it wasn't just the $4 million that had Tennessee waddling back and forth. It was the full-on negotiation, clearly, the not showing to practice on Friday that finally decided the practice was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was, we're walking away from this now. There's nothing to reconcile. And yeah, you don't want to see Tennessee fail. In fact, like, they're still saying they should win 8-9 games, and I think they absolutely should. They should be in playoff contention. But if we want the program to be the program, it's got to be bigger than one person. But at the same time, that one person is a vital part of the team. Sometimes you have to walk away from that. And I respect Josh Heupel a lot more if Nico was 9 wins of that and says, we're not doing this, and walks away. And I think if you really want to care about Tennessee, I think you have to understand that and appreciate that about Josh Heupel.
Yeah, I'm still, like I said, I'm pro Josh Heupel, but this is an inflection point kind of thing for me in terms of where Heupel's at.
I want to see how the season plays out, because I also said to a friend, I was like, this could be really, really good for the locker room but I mean, I think you got to get some wins early. It can be a rally cry. They can, like, we're bigger than one person. But if you don't get a few wins early, if something goes wrong early, it could be a huge fracture.
That's why you can't go in with Jake and George and then just like a warm body as a third scholarship guy. Like, you have to bring in a starter. Like, and then if Jake beats him out, or Jake is, then cool, great.
Yeah.
But it cannot be like, here you go, Jake. Like, that cannot be the situation.
It has to be someone with an obvious starting potential. They don't necessarily have to be the day one starter the day they get on campus, but yes, they have to be someone you're going, that's a competition off the bat.
Give me Sawyer Robertson. Give me Avery Johnson. I don't know who the most realistic guys are here, but
I mean, Avery Johnson, like, everything's kind of like this, the stars are aligning for that, right? I mean, that's what it's looking like.
I don't know. I can't even pretend to, like, that would be such a devastating blow, because I think they have the highest over-under in the Big 12 this year.
Do they?
Oof. I mean, that'd be brutal. If I'm a K-State, because that's the thing, like, Tennessee, I just feel like they're getting all this positive publicity this week. They have to be Sharks. They have to. Like, it's just, if you want to be big boy football, you want to be Georgia, you want to be Alabama, you want to be Texas, that's what you have to do now. You have to be cold-blooded here, and you have to go out for a big name.
I don't think anyone should fault Tennessee. No one's faulting USC for talking to them. No one's faulting UCLA, whoever else was tied to all this. No one's necessarily faulting them. I mean, they love Dan Lanning for the inside scoop.
Yeah.
But no one's faulting them. It's more the fault of Nico's camp of.
I don't think it's a Nico camp thing. I just think it's the system. Like, like Josh Payton talks about this all the time. It just incentivizes constant renegotiations and stuff, and seeing what your best value is. Like, that's the system that they're operating in. And I just fix the system. That's my whole thing. And because this will, like, that is my biggest thing. Just fix the system.
It needs to be clear, aligned. This is pay for play. It has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Nicely done, nephew. the Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.